Would you believe me if I told you that was it? I'm turning through. Am I just another boy you cast aside and choose? Me this time, I'll be yours, you'll be mine, and I could be anywhere when I'm with you. Do anything you want me to, but I kinda feel I'm being used. Oh, I could be anywhere when I'm with you. Do anything you want me to, but I kinda feel I'm being used. Just about had it with you.
Hey, I'm Rob Carroll here at Backroom Sessions, and I am a singer-songwriter on Long Island, and I write indie pop, power pop songs. So it was definitely kind of a lifelong passion, I would say. You know, it was not, I've been doing music forever, but it was never, or rather, it wasn't always the focus for what I wanted to do career-wise. You know, there were a lot of other interests I had. I loved sports, and I loved just entertainment in general, and you know, I did not like school at all. I was very good at school, but I hated it. I hated every second of being there. And eventually, when it became like, you know, the talk that every kid goes through, oh, what are you gonna go to college for? What are you gonna do with the rest of your life? It's like, well, the only thing I like is music. So it wasn't that I didn't love music or that I didn't have any other ideas. It's just music was the only thing I ever wanted to do. And everything else was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to school just to like learn this and then sit in a job 9 to 5, or maybe even worse than that, depending on what the job is, you know, and not even care about it, because there was nothing else that I cared about like music. So, and in college, I never fit in with the music crew because it was either very serious classical people or very serious jazz people. And I was like right in the middle. You know, I liked classical, I liked jazz, but I didn't study either of them. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do like write songs and do modern music production and all those things. And no one wanted to do that. And then I went over for a semester in London at a music school, and everyone did what I wanted to do, but better. Like they were very good. And so everyone over there could play multiple instruments. Everyone over there knew a little bit about recording with Logic or GarageBand, whatever it was. And they were all at least competent. They had this baseline of talent in so many different areas. And I'm like, I have to step up. Like I have to get better if this is something that I wanted to do. And I did. And then when I came back, I was much more serious about everything. And that's kind of the time at which I already was pursuing music as a career, but that's the time at which I realized how hard I would have to work and how much more I would have to do to kind of achieve those goals. You know, when you think of somewhere like Woodstock in a non-traditional setting for a concert, there's something so cool about that. You know, even still, even to this day, you know, that was like a 60s thing, but it doesn't feel, well, in a lot of ways it feels dated because that's just not how concerts are. You know, we're used to like Live Nation and being stuck in a small cramped venue or a big venue, but either way it's like, it's the same routine. You scan your ticket, you go in, whatever. So it would be cool to have like a huge non-conformist venue like Woodstock or a cave in China, or just some outdoor setting that's not where you would ever be for a concert. But a real answer, I think it would be interesting to have a concert, a giant event concert at the White House, and just kind of, whether it's on the lawn or converting the inside somehow, you know, I feel like it would be interesting, to say the least, to have some kind of event there like that, because there's just so many, I mean, there's all sorts of tensions and issues with Washington and the White House in general. But, you know, if you had like a Woodstock style event there with all sorts of acts from all sorts of walks of life, I think that could be cool. You know, who knows what that would entail or how that would go, but I think, you know, in ideation, it's a cool idea, and it has the potential for a lot of interesting things to happen from it. what possessed you to put yourself through that? So one of the biggest issues for me in music in general was just collaboration and just finding people that were like-minded or as driven or as, I don't want to say talented, but hardworking. So part of it was necessity. The reason why I learned all those skills and just was so driven to do my own thing is because I had to. There were so many bands I was in when I was younger that either couldn't have a reliable vocalist or couldn't have a vocalist at all. So that's what pushed me to start singing. And then when I started to, do my own thing, I needed a way to show that to people. And so that possessed me to buy my first recording interface and buy some Yamaha speakers, which I still use, some monitors. And in addition to that, then I had to show people, right? Because this was when video was becoming so much more important. So it was not just enough to record stuff and put it on SoundCloud or put it on some website on the internet that was only audio. You had to have a visual component. So I learned how to do that very, very slowly. I had some Canon Rebel that I started with, but before that it was like the webcam on my laptop that I was using to upload videos for YouTube in high school or middle school. And it was just out of necessity. All of the skills I've developed in terms of sharing content was out of necessity. And that's one of the things that I think differently about than other people is that, I guess my main instrument is piano or guitar, and I gravitate towards those obviously more than anything else. But I don't feel limited to those, and I love experimenting with drums or bass or any other instrument. There's a whole bunch of little instruments that I have around the house that I've experimented with and played with. And I think that's how I think about music, is that it's not so much, I'm a pianist or I'm a guitarist. It's that I'm a musician. So I want to learn all these things. I want to get better at drums. I want to get better at bass. I want to get better at the things that aren't my main focus, because it'll only help me, kind of what we were talking about before, just help me get better at my main goal, which is just to put my music out there and become a better musician in general. And the more areas I have to draw from, whether that's other instruments or other veins like recording and video work, it all helps further the musicianship, I think. And so that's really the main thing that drives me, is just to become a better musician, to be able to express myself better. And that's why I learn all the instruments I do, that I learn how to record, that I learn how to do video stuff, is because it's all in service of the song and the musicianship. It's still such a hard question. I think an interesting one, I mean, this isn't, I guess, my final answer, but to put any two bands in a Scott Pilgrim style battle, I feel like it would be cool, especially because we're going to be using video game logic for this, is that if you could put Nirvana against the Foo Fighters or something like that, or maybe Queens of the Stone Age against them Crooked Vultures. I think that could be really cool, just to just see what would happen. But as far as realistic bands, I think, because we talked a little about this before, I think it would be cool to have a modern versus a throwback. If it's a throwback, I have to say the Beatles for sure, because they are definitely one of my biggest inspirations, but also one of the world's biggest inspirations. There wouldn't be pop music the way that it is without the Beatles. So the Beatles are definitely up there. And for modern, I think maybe just to go with Jacob Collier again, because I feel like he is such, and I know not everyone agrees with me, but I feel like he's such an interesting songwriter. Regardless of how you feel about his music, I think you can at least agree that he's interesting. And he has a lot of ideas, more ideas than maybe anyone else. And, it would be cool to see someone who writes like him, which is not how most people write, I think, against someone who writes in such a traditional songwriter format like the Beatles, where yes, they have deviations from their form, but they are the blueprint for how to write a song. And Jacob Collier is, in a lot of ways, the antithesis of that, where he just kind of takes your conceptions of what is normal and flips them on their head just to see if he can. So I think having something so traditional now, like the Beatles, because at the time they weren't, against someone so like nonconformist like Jacob Collier, I think that would be really interesting. And especially in a Scott Pilgrim style battle, I think it would give some really cool results.
Everybody needs some rope once in a while. Everybody tries to cope with a smile. You're what keeps me hanging on, even though I know it's probably wrong. No one wants to be alone, they'd rather drown. Always trying to postpone being let down. The thing is, no one really cares. Everybody likes to stop and stare. I need some hope. Give me some hope. Road is what keeps me hanging on. Without hope, well, I'm already gone. Give me some hope. And road is what keeps me hanging on. Without hope, well, I'm already gone. Everybody needs some rope once in a while.
So a lot of things inspire my music. I think the biggest thing is other music. There's that mentality that musicians have where you have the music coming through, you're channeling music, whatever. And I think there's definitely something to that. But for me, I like writing, I just like writing so many things and so many different things and listening to so much music. And I'll be listening to some music sometimes and I'll be like, oh, I want to write a song like that. And so I do. There's so many songs I've written where, I'm trying to write something else, and in the process of doing that, it's like you go in with this one idea, but then that one idea changes along the way and you start turning into something else and it becomes your own, it becomes your own voice. So that's what inspires me. And there's definitely that feeling, like I always feel like there's so much music in here that I want to get out, or in here that I want to get out. But the biggest thing is just hearing other people's music and being like, that's such a cool idea. I want to do my version of that idea, With the Backroom Sessions here, Rope was one of the songs I was writing that I'm like, all right, I want to do like a little bit of a heavier kind of thing, like little darker guitars and a little more aggressive sounding, but even still, like, the hook is there. It's a catchy melody, and it's kind of all about the melody. And that's one of the ways I approach writing, is that I'm always thinking, usually top down. Like, I'll start with the melody, I'll start with the chords, and then everything else will get fleshed out later. So I think part of it is that I do think in terms of pop, power pop naturally, but it is dependent on like what I'm aiming for. Like I love, like I said, so many different genres of music. So I try to incorporate those influences, but I think naturally I'm just gravitating towards the power pop aesthetic. Again, we might get a little deeper than you intended, but I think that especially because I've been now a professional musician for so long and I do this for a living, but outside of my own original stuff, I think one of the most important things in a band is the ability to communicate, and not just communicate, but be able to hang out, for lack of a better word, because you're spending a lot of time with these people, not just at the gig or in preparation for it, but ideally they're people that you want to spend time around, and that they're not going to be a chore or bothersome or have a bad attitude. So that's really the most important thing. So in that regard, in my opinion, people that you're friends with or people that you at least get along with are the most important thing. But to answer your question the way it was intended, living musicians, well, it's tricky, especially because I play a lot of instruments. So I would have to think about who I would want in the band, but I don't know. Drums, oh, well, he's not living anymore. I was going to say Taylor Hawkins. Yeah, but so maybe even drums, just go with Dave Grohl, because he's just so iconic as a drummer and as a person. I know it's kind of a cop-out answer. And I would love to play with John Mayer. He's one of my favorite musicians, and I think just based off of the things I've seen of him, that we would get along well together. We have a very similar sense of humor. So I think John Mayer would be awesome to have as a guitarist. Bass, there's so many bassists that are so good. I don't know. I mean, I'm tempted to just say Flea, just because, probably the most iconic living bassist. Geddy Lee also. I mean, Geddy Lee I love Rush and I love progressive music. But my stuff is not really like either of their music. And I hate to stay with the John Mayer train, but like Pino Palladino is just unreal, can play anything, and he serves John Mayer's music really well, which is singer-songwriter, kind of like mine. So I'll just have to go with Pino. And am I forgetting any instruments there?
As many instruments as you want in your band,
Yeah. You know what? And I'm just gonna say Jacob Collier, because I love Jacob Collier. He's so good at everything, and he's, that's another thing that possesses me, to go back to what we were talking about before, to like do everything myself, is that I see other people do it, so I know it's possible. I know it's not something that is crazy to think about or crazy to pursue, because there are other people that do it, and other people that do it on such a high level, and Jacob Collier is certainly one of them. And again, he also just seems like the nicest person. He seems like someone you could get along with, but also has such a great view and outlook on life and the world. So I think Jacob Collier, I guess keys, but he can do anything. He can play any of those instruments better than probably all those people. So we'll put him in as just the utility guy, and I'll just be the front man. I won't play anything. Less equipment for me to bring around. So it's hard to tell when a song is done for, I think, anybody, but especially like you said, I'm involved in like every step of the process. So you really have to be objective about things, and you have to think and detach yourself from it. But I think of it in a lot of stages. So the first stage I think about is, and that's I think the most important one, like the bones of the song. That's how I like to think about it, where it's just me sitting with a piano or with a guitar and playing through the song. And that's typically how I'll write stuff. I don't like to write stuff in the computer where I'm like arranging and programming before I have a song, because when I do that, inevitably I hit a wall, and I just can't, I usually can't get past it. And then those ideas, however good they are, And they're often like cool ideas will just get stuck, and maybe they'll become a part of another song, but they never get finished. So for me, the first stage is like you have to write the song, and it doesn't always have to have words at the start, but like you need the melody and you need the form and you need the chord changes, and that's how I try to force myself to write. So that's when like I have the idea of the song, and then to me that song is done. But I think if you keep in mind and you start from a place where this is objectively it, this is the song, and things can change, like you can rewrite a bridge or you can rewrite something, but everything else, you know, if you keep those things in mind, then I think it's a lot easier to get to an ending point without struggling or feeling like, you know, you're never going to finish. Well, thanks for having me at Backroom Sessions, Victor Durlis Vision Maker Productions. It's really fun. And you can find me on social media. My name's Rob Carroll. So you can just find me on Spotify, on YouTube, Instagram, all those places, Rob Carroll Music. And I'm releasing more music, so feel free to check that out. And hopefully I'll see you around.